At the heart of an industrial revolution is an innovation that changes everything. Building AI Boston sees artificial intelligence as a renaissance. From the heart of innovation and the mecca of tech learning, we bring you AI for Real People, a conversation for everyone. Welcome to Building AI Boston. I'm Anna DeVere, and my co-host is Chris DeVito. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Anna. How are you doing?
Great. And Chris and I are joined by our very special guest, Kara Peterson, who actually lives in Boston. She's not only a guest, she's also our connection to the cool kids in the mecca of tech. Welcome, Kara.
Thanks, guys. Nice to see you.
Yay. Kara, you're a rising star in the tech and legal space, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, we all know that artificial intelligence is kind of a scary subject. So, Kara, were you influenced for better or for worse by science fiction? Like, who was your favorite robot when you were a kid?
Oh, that's great. So, okay. I loved the Jetsons. So, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm waiting for my Rosie.
Oh, and I think we're
need
going
a
to see.
Rosie.
I think there's going to be plenty of that at CES. So in our upcoming episodes, how about you, Chris? You're actually in an improv team called Bad Robot. Is there a reason?
It's not my robot. Not my robot.
Not my robot. Do you have a favorite robot?
Probably like RoboCop. It's probably not the most PC thing in the world these days.
I did not see that coming, but you know, how appropriate, because we're talking about legal justice today.
Yeah. And so speaking of robot, what's your favorite robot, Anna? We didn't ask that.
I'm kind of an old school, like the Lost in Space, the weird one.
Oh yeah,
with the big arms.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Exactly, because he is not scary at all.
But now that I'm older, I'm telling you, I like Bender now. He's my dude.
Oh yeah.
Bender, are you kidding me? Okay, well, yeah. I love that, and I love that we break apart sort of the misconceptions and we take it to the silly and often extreme biases about artificial intelligence. Kara, you're an AI founder, and we're going to get to that and talk a little bit more about your latest venture.
Awesome.
Yeah. Kara, I want to ask you, what was the origin story behind Describe.ai? I mean, what made you and your husband come up with this to try to bridge the gap in the legal information for people? What was the impetus behind that?
Yeah, it was actually a brush with the law ourselves, which sounds a little mysterious, but no, it wasn't anything like that. We did not rob a 7-Eleven or anything of that nature. But what actually happened is we had an instance in our own life where we wanted to actually understand some case law. And if people don't know what case law is, it's just the opinions that judges write, right? Which is like the precedential stuff that law is based on. And it's like, seems like the most basic thing in the world to like have access to that. So we were going through this situation. It was an employment situation, and couldn't get at this stuff. And so my co-founder, being an engineer, was like, maybe I could fix that. And the hubris and kind of like it's kind of better for us that we didn't know the hill we were going to climb, or we might not have never ever climbed it. But this is the moment of AI. AI can make things that would have been absurd to even contemplate a few years ago possible. So yeah, personal experience.
Cool.
So your product is called Describe with a Y.ai, and just in preparation to see how it worked, Chris and I did our own little search. We pulled up Describe.ai and did a little test run for ourselves. But for the people in the audience that want to know how it actually works, why don't you just go ahead and tell us a little bit about the user experience and give us an example?
Yeah, sure. So I'll just compare it to traffic in Boston first, because in the old days before there were lovely things like Apple Maps or Google Maps, when you had to drive around to Boston, if you didn't already know where you were going, good luck. You're not going to find it, right? So the law is kind of similar when you're doing legal research. The idea is that how it works in a classic sense is you kind of already have to know what you're looking for. And this is called Boolean search, which is word-based search. So you need to kind of already know the terms. And I know, Anna, you have a background in the law, so you know this really well. And so you kind of already had to know in some ways where you're going. What AI does is it it gives you that space to ask questions in natural language, which allows you to query things the way you would think of it. So what Describe is doing is allowing people to query 3.6 million at this point and counting judicial opinions from across the United States, and kind of ask it questions in a universal or in a natural language tone, which allows people to get at this really complicated legalese in a way that's understandable for sort of the average Joe.
Okay, well, my average Joe question was about my cat, and I live in
Oh.
Nevada, and it's not legal for cats to go outside, but my
Mm.
my big I'm gonna say badass cat got out and got into a fight with another cat,
Oh dear.
and then the woman who owned the other cat tried to separate them, and she got scratched. So she called animal control on me, and I had to talk to an officer, and I had to say, well, I have a hard time believing that my cat broke into her cat's house and picked a fight, meaning, haha, we're both outside, letting our cats outside. But when I plugged a version of that into Describe AI, it brought up another case around a dog bite and around, the dog was actually in an adoption center and bit someone and they tried to sue. And the point was the people who had the, service were not responsible for knowing that the dog had a proclivity for biting. So I found that somewhat helpful, but maybe my search was not clear enough, or I don't know how you would respond to that.
No, that's actually amazing. And I didn't know you were going to do that. And I didn't know that was going to be your test. And I'm so glad you did, because it illustrates a really important concept in something like Describe or other legal research that's using AI, is that it's finding things that are similar, right? So, and this is super obvious, but when you're starting to look at legal precedent or legal theories or legal concepts, they're not going to be so obvious. But a dog is like a cat in many ways. It's a pet. It's, something that can bite. There's regulations about how you can own them or not, or what you're supposed to do. Are they licensed? But, you can imagine like what happens in a situation with a dog could be applicable to what happens in a situation with a cat. Now that sounds absurdly simplified, but when you think about the law, that's a lot of what's happening, right? Is that legal researchers or people who need this information are trying to find these connections to legal principles that can help people with whatever issue it is that they have at hand.
Yeah, well, I went in, and before I let Chris go, I mean, I really felt really nervous to talk to an animal officer and,
Oh, yeah.
totally talked my way out of it. But the point of Describe.ai is that it gives people sort of an edge. It's not going to replace a lawyer, hiring a lawyer, but it allows you to sort of take a step back. I went down the rabbit hole knowing cats are like dogs and realized, man, there's a lot of dog bite cases.
Right.
And just kind of it calmed me down, even though I'm not in that moment where my cat hurt somebody, which I feel terrible about, right? But just understanding the law is kind of the point of Describe.ai.
Yeah, and that moment of panic is how people feel a lot of times when they're in a situation like that. So that's exactly right.
So one of the flaws that I'm seeing here, potential flaw, roadblock here, is it doesn't differentiate between cat people and dog people.
That's okay.
True.
We're all one people, so there you go.
We're all one people, right?
Love them all.
Sorry. So, but I want to get serious for a second here. Sorry for cracking wise there. You were recently recognized by the American Bar Association for let me make sure I'm getting this right, a Woman of Legal Tech 2024. I mean, did you see any of this coming when you started Describe.ai?
Oh, no. No. I couldn't even have imagined it. And, it's been such an incredible journey. And I'm so grateful to the ABA for this. But I think it speaks to the moment we're in. It speaks to what AI can do and how AI can enable people with good ideas or people who see problems they want to solve. So, no, I still in some ways can't believe it's happening, to be honest.
And
But no.
you've been recognized by other groups as well, right?
Yeah.
What was the other one? I know you mentioned it to me earlier.
Yeah, so we've won a couple awards, which is really fun, and legal tech is just a super awesome community with a lot of support for each other. But the one that was really fun is we won a silver award, silver Anthem Award. Anthem Awards are the Webby Awards, but they're the people who do the Webby Awards, but they're for social sort of impact. So we met like the coolest bunch of people down there in New York. It was last month, and it was other people who were winning. They didn't all show up to the party, but they were some pretty cool people, like Jelly Roll. And of course, I'm like asking my kids, who's Jelly Roll? Right? So now I know, and he's pretty cool. He was actually an incarcerated individual himself, and so he has a really interesting story. But anyway, and this whole group of people that are producers on Sesame Street, and I'm like, literally, I would not want to hang out with anyone more than the producers from Sesame Street. So it was really, I'm not gonna lie, it was thrilling to be in that
amazing
company.
Were your kids psyched that you were mentioned in the same breath as Jelly Roll?
Yeah, they actually were. They thought that almost made me cool, but not quite.
Almost.
Well, we think it's really cool. And also, I think Chris and I are most happy that you're not just a guest today, but also a contributor, also like our woman in the field. But I want to bring up something interesting, Kara. You talked about Jelly Roll and Sesame Street. Like, for anybody that doesn't see themselves as an AI expert, can you talk a little bit? You don't have this extensive legal background. You don't have, like, you're not even the tech person of your husband-wife partnership. So talk a little bit about imposter syndrome and how people can get over it or see themselves in this conversation.
Yeah. If you're listening, you belong in the conversation around AI. It is going to touch everybody's life. And the biggest mistake that we can make right now as a society is to only have the same people in the conversation right now that are always in the conversation about change or technology or about who's going to get what benefit. So it's super important that we all pay attention. There's a lot to pay attention to in the world right now. So of course it's hard, but there is a space for everyone. It's, think about when we finally go to Mars. Someday we're going to go to Mars. Humans are going to go to Mars. Not everyone's driving the ship, the rocket ship, the spaceship. Not everyone is, a physics expert. There's also the person in there who's making sure there's food, and there's the people who are going to go up there and be the teachers, or are going to be, taking care of the old people, or whatever it is. Like, there's so many roles in these technological change moments, and AI is no different. Look at the three of us, right? I mean, we have three different skill sets, three different sort of loves of things that we do in our careers, and we all fit. So anyone out there thinks they don't fit, they do. And it's okay. It's okay to have imposter syndrome. We all do. I have it. I won't speak for my lovely Anna and my lovely Chris, but I'm guessing they have it occasionally. It's normal. But you can also kick it in the butt if you want and tell it to go away sometimes.
Yeah. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, of the three of us, I am the least tech qualified and actually the least interested in tech. But here we are. That's why, I called Chris as a phone a friend. He's going to be on my Mars mission, and he's going to be minding the robots so we can keep them apart. Say, that's not my robot, and that's not your robot. You can be
Maybe
the
it'll be Rosie.
If it's the guy
Rosie will totally own Bender. I can tell you that. Like, she will keep him in line.
So, speaking of the future, Kara, what's on the horizon for you and Describe.ai? Anything you can hint about that's coming in future plans?
Yeah, we think the next 12 months are going to make the last 12 months look like small potatoes, which is really cool and exciting. One of the things we want to do is, of course, create a successful and, financially stable company ourselves. We're not a nonprofit, even though we have a huge dedication to this social justice work, but we want to show the world and ourselves, of course, that you can do both things. So you can create a socially conscious company that will do good things, and you can still make a profit. Like, you don't have to follow the only path that seems to be out there is make as much money as you can for yourself and, forget about everybody else. Like, it's not, doesn't have to be that way. So we have some paid tiers coming out that will sit on top of the data that we have, use that data, mine that data, which is 25 million records at this point. I mean, it's just gigantic, and sort of find ways to help people, not just lay people, but lawyers, legal professionals, all different kinds of people, find these interesting threads in the law that will help them in their various needs that they have. So we're very excited. Early next year, early 2025, we'll be rolling some of these out, and then the market will tell us. They'll tell us that they want this. They'll tell us that they don't. We'll see. But I'm hooked on AI one way or another. So we're very excited.
Yeah, we're looking forward to finding out more for sure.
And I think it's really cool. I mean, I think that your own evolution and your story just should give a lot of people courage. I mean, I'm a person of a certain age, and you've opened my mind to why everybody belongs in the conversation. So I just want to ask, because you're geographically tied to Boston, and that's part of the reason we love you, connecting us to the mecca of tech, or the cool kids club, as I call it. What's particularly special about Boston? What do you love about being there, and what do you see, and why are you excited to bring us a bit from your ecosystem?
Yeah, Boston's a really special ecosystem, and all of, Massachusetts, the whole region, not only because we have some of the most brilliant people, we do, obviously, with all the different universities and the researchers and the scientists. I mean, there's just an incredible brain trust here that's unmatched anywhere. But we also have a society in this state that really thrives and really wants people to thrive. It doesn't mean that we are not making mistakes and we haven't done things wrong here. We sure have. But we also have this fundamental belief in society kind of working together, making things better. So we lead in this state. We've led with some really important things from my perspective, like equality in marriage and universal health care and things like that. So we're a place that knows how to navigate these moments in time to fall on the side. We're good at falling on the side of what is right. Doesn't mean we always do things properly, but we have this special sauce that I think is very hard to replicate. We also have the kind of infrastructure that people want to stay around. So, we have these wonderful researchers or scientists or students, people coming here, and then they get hooked because we've got these great education. We've got wonderful, beautiful state. We have excellent opportunities for jobs and for everything else. What we don't have is affordable housing. So clearly it's not perfect. But there's something special, and I think that places like Massachusetts are really important right now, where we can find our commonality and we can find our belief in a better future in a space that we will echo each other and build that together.
Cool. So, Kara, where can we follow you and find out more about what's on the horizon?
Yeah, that's great. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, but not everybody's on LinkedIn. It's a niche place for legal tech, but if you're interested in legal tech, that is the place to go. But I'm a recent convert to Blue Sky, actually. I personally left X pretty recently, and I'm over in Blue Sky, and I'm reconnecting with a lot of people there that I hadn't seen for quite a while. So those are probably my two big places. I sometimes am futzing around on Instagram, but
And
not as much.
is it your personal account, or is it
Oh,
we
yeah,
find
sorry,
you
I
as
have
Describe.ai?
both. Sorry, both, yeah, so we have, of course, there's my personal accounts, but then Describe, yeah, Describe is all over
And we can
social.
just find you under
Yeah,
Describe. Excellent.
absolutely.
Well, it's important to point out that we're all contributors to this show. We think of Boston as sort of a host because the conversation there is teeming, but, Chris and I have guests coming from all parts of this country, parts all over the world, actually. And you can be a part of that conversation by subscribing and looking forward to upcoming episodes. Any parting words, team? Because I think what's unique about all of us is we like to look at the upside of AI, and I'm really proud to represent.
I'm wondering if Rosie and Bender will get along.
Maybe he'll get her to start drinking.
Well,
Loosen up a
essential
little.
for robots, as Bender tells us. They don't function properly unless they're drinking, right?
Right, I mean, I could see that. My parting thought is, aside from Rosie starting to have cocktails, is that Boston isn't a place. In my mind, it's an idea, right? It's an ethos, it's a way of thinking about things. So you can be a Boston person and be anywhere. You don't have to have spent time, hanging out at Faneuil Hall or something. No. It's an idea, it's a belief in how we can do things. So don't feel imposter syndrome about that either. I'm from the Midwest originally. I mean, you can be from anywhere. It'd be Boston.
And Chris is from New York, so we can expect some fun rivalry and drinking robots. So all joking aside, I'm really excited about upcoming episodes. Chris, we know that we're going to meet the incredible Tom Williams. Your improv team was asked by him, the robotics teacher, to teach his robots how to act like humans. Did you guys take cocktails and not my robot?
No, there were no cocktails involved, but yeah, we did that. We'll talk more about this, but he contacted us. He's a professor of robotics at the School of Mines here in Colorado. And he asked if we would come as a group to talk to his robotics class. And the first thing that went through my mind is, it's just a name, right? It's not my robot. We have nothing to do with robots at all. And he said, I know, but I've seen you and it aligns well enough that we want you to come and talk to them about how we can make robots seem more human.
Yeah, that's
pretty cool.
That is a very cool episode. He breaks down some history behind when robots came out. I'm not going to spoil it, but I was fascinated by that conversation. Kara, you have infinite number of guests from the Mecca of cool kids. And yeah, and also we have Joanna Pena Bickley coming up. So this is a very interesting conversation ongoing. And we hope you out there will listen and subscribe and actually write to us. And looking forward to involving you in the conversation in the future.
And let us know what your robots like to drink.
we'll cook up some recipes for next time.
Yeah. We're going to put out a recipe book for drinks.
That's all you, Chris.
Yeah.
I'll work with you on that, Chris. I like that.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Building AI Boston. Stay tuned for more enlightening episodes that put you at the forefront of the conversations shaping our future.